morning to you. This is Silver Bears Rhythm 93.7 Port Harcourt. And you're welcome to Viewpoints. Viewpoints is a news and current affairs program airs on the station Saturdays from 8:15 a.m. On Viewpoint, we'll bring you issues. Viewpoint is all about news, interviews, and views. And of course, we also allow those listening to share their views with us as we bring those who matter into the studio discussing all of this issue, particularly how it concerns us. Now, on the first leg of Viewpoint, this one, we'll begin at an incident that happened or was reported during the week. Later on the second leg of the show, COVID-19 is still a big issue. Now, again, what is the correlation between COVID-19 and 5G? We have a scientist that will be coming to the studio to talk to us, and we'll be discussing that a little bit elaborate, looking at all the argument on that. But first, in the week, we got a report of the incident of dead fishes on the shores and waterways of Bonny local government area. Now, some team took it upon themselves to probe the reality and immediate remote causes of that, and later on it got to the news then. A lot of questions are being asked. What is responsible for this situation, which we also gather has been reported in some other communities in the Niger Delta states. But for us in River State, where we've had this happen, Finima Town, Amari area, Lighthouse, Rivers 7, Agaja, Ukumbim, Mbisu 1 and Mbisu 2 and Foko communities. Now, the incident is that a large number of fishes, and some identified them to be croaker fishes, were found dead. And a lot of questions are being asked, and the fish were seen lying dead and littered around the shoreline from Lighthouse all the way to Foko on the fringe of border between Bonny and Andoni local government area. The fishes were also sighted dead and floating on the sea and being washed ashore by waves. Now, we want to try to begin to see what could be responsible for this, even though there are still investigation into it to look at the scientific causes or what could have caused this incident. But again, the question is the River State government aware? And if the River State government is aware, what is the River State government doing about the incident? And again, what are the likely dangers of these to the people, particularly community people? And also, we gather that some community people are already, cashing in on the availability of these fishes. Some of them are making brisk business with it. Some of them are even going about consuming them. So what will be the warning on all of that? Now, this morning we have with us in the studio the Commissioner for Environment, River State. He is a medical practitioner and Associate Professor of Clinical Pharmacology, Dr. Igbiks Tamuno. Good morning, Honorable Commissioner. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Segun.
So I'll be discussing with Dr. Igbiks Tamuno on this incident and the report that's reached us. And of course, we will want your contribution. We'll be throwing open the telephone lines. And just before we throw open the telephone line, quickly listen. You can listen live to this program anywhere in the world. Join us from any part of the globe on www.rhythm937.com/ph. And if you're on Twitter, you can follow us on Twitter and watch us live on Twitter, as well as on Facebook. On Twitter, it is #ViewpointPH. On Facebook, it is Rhythm937PH or ViewpointPH. Now, you can see the pictures live on the on Facebook. That is Rhythm937PH or ViewpointPH. So, let's look at this incident of the dead fishes that were recorded in some coastal communities in River State. Once again, Honorable Commissioner, thank you so much for joining us. Now, so tell us, what was your immediate reaction when you received the news about the dead fishes on the waterways of some coastal communities in the state?
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Segun, and welcome to the viewers around the world. For me, or listeners around the world, as Commissioner for Environment, my first reaction to the story was that of skepticism. I was not too sure as to the veracity of the story, so I took my time. We got the story, the rumors some days back, but 2 days ago, by Thursday morning, we had gotten confirmation that it was true. That's in spite of the photographs that were really beamed on social media. We got confirmation even by the fact that a traditional ruler from Andoni visited our office and formally laid a complaint. Before then, some of our operatives in that area had also given us the information. So immediately we set out to inform our people. We spoke to the press and quickly moved into action.
Fantastic. Beyond that, because you see, again, when we got a complaint, another complaint we have from fishermen and marketmen who trade in fish in those areas was the fact that they discovered that some of these dead fishes were emitting very bad odor, and these odors scare other fishes away and making it difficult for them to fish. You're a scientist, an associate professor of pharmacology. What do you think could be responsible for that?
Yeah, a couple of things could be responsible, but all that we will say are just theories. We've not been able to confirm any of them. But we know that depending on the substance, that is the chemical substance, that's the cause of the death, some substances would react with tissues in such a way as to make the putrefying process faster. And some odors are associated with some chemicals. So for sure, we know that something is wrong, but as at this moment, we've not been able to put our fingers on exactly what it is. We are still in investigative stages.
Fantastic. Let us look at some of the facts that are available to us right now. Maybe that would even help us to look deeper into this discussion. According to what we have, the affected fishes are croaker, popularly known as brook marriage, also called ona in the Bani dialect, and only observed fish affected by this incident. The fish were seen lying dead and littered along the shorelines from Lighthouse all the way to Foko on the brain of Bani, between Bani and Andoni local government. And the fish were also sighted dead floating on the sea, being washed ashore. And also, what we know that the dead fish were always turning up fresh in the morning along the shorelines. That's another observation. And the fishermen who reported to us said to us, observed that at sea that some of the fish kept propping up to the surface of the water. Some were alive when sighted, only to be struggling to stay alive and then die. These are some of the thing. And we also have the report that within 2 nautical miles from Lighthouse, the fish were all dead. But beyond that, as far as Fairway Boy, many of the fishes were sighted alive, only to die later on. Now, when we look at this area, where the affected area, I'm talking about Amari area, Lighthouse, River 7, Agaja, Ukumbi, Mbisu 1, Mbisu 2, and Foko communities, all in Boni, and Oyo Kotoro, and other areas in Andoni. One thing that is very, very synonymous to this is a gas-producing area, and oil-related activities is going on there. Could this be another reason for that?
Well, there's no evidence for now. And as a scientist, I trade with evidence. I do not just go concluding on things without evidence. So far, we do not have evidence that gas is responsible. We do not have evidence that any chemical dropped by anybody is responsible. But for sure, I mean, from what we know theoretically, yes, it is very possible that gas could be a culprit. It's possible that some chemicals dropped in the sea could be responsible. But I'm sure in the days ahead, we'll know much better.
Yeah, of course, while we're waiting for that investigation, but again, from the layman's perspective, particularly when fishermen report to us that the fishes begin to turn green when it begins to get rotten, that is not a normal sign. You know, you're a pharmacologist, and again, they said when spread out on fire to dry, unlike normal fish, these do not thoroughly dry up. Instead, they would disintegrate or scatter. Because we're concerned.
Yeah, we are concerned, and that goes on to reinforce the possibility of a chemical substance being involved. But like I said before, we don't have the evidence. Yes, we can guess this, guess that. What we want to do in the days ahead is to get hold of the particular chemical or chemicals that are involved. Whether they are coming from gases, they are coming from pollution, oil pollution, or any other places. Until we have the evidence, we cannot conclusively say what it is.
You know, I'm a little bit concerned because, you see, we have been talking to some people over this, and some of the things they are giving us may just be leading us to some things. For example, some of the fishermen told us that they observed that the tide was carrying these dead fishes from the high sea towards the seashores, suggesting probably that the cause of the untimely death may be up ahead, out there in the deep sea, where we have oil and gas going on.
Yeah, that's possible. Nobody can say for sure that that's not a possibility, but it is. But I keep stressing that it is wrong to jump into a conclusion, especially when you're dealing with population level discussions. I would rather be a little cautious without throwing stones, get to the evidence, and then we talk. I'm aware that the extent of this incident is beyond the communities you've mentioned.
Yeah.
I am aware, we are aware, that it cuts across the coastal states, Bayelsa State,
Yes.
Delta State, Akwa Ibom State, Ondo State, as far as Lagos State. I am in touch with the Ministries of Environment in Bayelsa. I'm in touch with the Ministry of Environment in Akwa Ibom. I'm in touch with the Ministry of Environment in Delta, at least so far, up until now, and they've confirmed that yes, this is true. So as a government, we will take measures to work independently, get our facts right, and then if we have to, we'll probably work as a group with other states to get to the root of the matter. But it will be too presumptuous for me to say, yes, this gas coming from this company is involved, or this chemical coming from this company is implicated. We've not gotten there yet.
While it might be presumptuous to begin to say this is the real cause of it, but one thing that is a little bit critical was the fact that we noticed that the fisher folks who first witnessed this, rather than alerting the authority, they went haywire, harvesting these fishes and they began selling it.
Yeah, that's the thing of concern to us. Now, that's why since we got the news 2 days ago, we've been in the airwaves, social media, we've been advising our people. Now, yes, a whole lot of people may have eaten the fishes and nothing adverse has happened. But we know that sometimes, depending on the cause of these deaths, the adverse effects may not be immediate. You may get to see them in weeks, in months, and sometimes even in years. So the advice we have given and we continually give is that they should please not eat the fish. We know that the times are hard. We know that it's difficult for our people to resist this temptation. In fact, some people I hear say, well, God has just blessed them with another form of manna from heaven. But say it the way you want. But the advice we give and we continuously want to give is that please do not eat these fishes. As at yet, we do not know what the real cause is, and so we cannot say what could happen to those that eat. That's our position as at today.
Yeah, again, we would also like to know what more government is doing, because some of the fishermen told us that they sighted some boats, some big trawlers harvesting this fish, even on the high seas. So one would have thought that government should have taken some proactive measures by now to stop even fishing within the areas. Is that possible, really?
Well, within the limits of the facilities we have, we've tried to discourage such fisheries or fishing activities going on around the area. But our primary concern, which we continually stress, is our people in those communities. So while we also do what we can to discourage those that have trawlers and all that, we know that our people are primarily doing their fishing with small boats and all that, and most of them stay in the communities and benefit from these fishes one way or the other. So those are the people that we're directing much of our attention on, and we continually tell them, please don't take them. Now, we as a government have taken certain steps. Beyond telling people not to eat the fishes, we've sent our experts in collaboration with groups that have come to us or we have invited. We have had an audience in Nigerian Environmental Society. We have had an audience the Bonny group, a Bonny group led by a professor. They have a structured society where they have committees of very high intellectual capability relating to pollution and things of this nature. We've had them in audience and we've rubbed minds, and we have sent a group of experts. Experts from our ministry, led by the Director of Pollution Control. We've had members of Nigerian Environmental Society, led by a professor. We've also had people from Bonny communities, and all these we've put together as a team and made them to go to the affected places to get samples from not only the fishes. We are getting samples from the dead fishes, which could easily be picked at the shores. We are getting samples from live fishes, which fishermen are made to get for us. We are getting samples from the waters in different places, both from the deep areas and then from the shallow areas. We are doing that in Bonny as well as in Andoni. So far, those are the areas that are really heat, and we are doing that. And now we've gotten the first set of samples which we have sent to the laboratory in the Ministry of Pollution Studies at the University. Now the second set of samples are expected this morning. We'll send them to independent laboratories. Now what we are doing is to be sure that when we get our results, they can be independently corroborated. So when we talk, we know what we're talking. So far, that's one step we've taken. And of course, government is, thinking, we're talking at the highest level. And we are also collaborating with the Ministry of Health because we understand that there could be health implications. And so the Ministry of Health is talking with us. We are, saying don't eat because the advice coming from the Ministry of Health says the same thing. And then we are looking forward. In the days ahead, we'll do a lot more things to safeguard our people and to pass relevant information as we get them.
Again, as a way of safety measures, since we know that only croaker fish was affected across the observed affected area, would it be necessary for us to advise the people for now not to consume croaker fish?
Yes, that's one of the pointed information we're passing. We are aware of that fact, and that also causes concern. One of the things we did quickly 2 days ago was to talk to academics in the universities. We've assembled, as it were, a team of experts, academics, researchers, and they are helping us from the director of the Institute of Pollution Studies through some professors in the Department of Marine Biology at the State University. They're also worried that with what they know, if with the chemicals that they are used to, such events should affect other fishes apart from croaker. But when the majority of fishes affected is croaker, then maybe there is something about croaker that the particular chemical is isolating or whatever, but we don't know for now. When they go into action and the results of those researches come out, we'll know better, and that will probably inform whatever agencies will do later. But for now, it is advisable for our people not to eat the croaker fishes, especially people living around that area. And of course, the fishes will come into Port Harcourt for sale, either as fresh or dry fishes. It is advisable for them not to disease. There are other fishes they can eat, and we have not come to a point where we'll say don't eat fish at all. For now, let us do the needful.
You're listening to Viewpoint, coming to you from Silver Bears, both at 93.7 Port Harcourt. And I'm sitting in the studio with the River State Commissioner for Environment, Dr Igbiks Tamuno. We're looking at the incidents that came up over the week, the dead fishes on the shores and waterways of Bonny local government area. And the report is here. We're looking at what government is doing, the advisory from government, and also how this is being tackled. We'll drop on the telephone line to take our first three calls: 0902 333 9379, as well as 0809 51 3294. Those are the numbers to call us upon. And don't forget, we would also appreciate if you will send us messages on our WhatsApp, send us messages on our social media platforms, which will enable us to take your questions faster. But let's just try to take these calls now. Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining us. This is Viewpoint. Good morning. Hello. Hello, good morning. All right. We'll just take another one here. Sorry. Yes, good morning.
Hello, Segun.
Now, hold on. Hold on first. Akanto, let's take Akanto first. Akanto, go ahead.
Yes, Honorable Commissioner.
Good morning.
Yes, well, it's a very time, not only in Nigeria, but this new came in the state.
Now, Akanto, could you speak up a little bit, Akanto?
Yes, although you really like people when I heard the news about the along our food. But Honorable Commissioner, I know that there can't be synergy between the Commissioner of Health, Commissioner of Agriculture, and your own ministry to guide our people. But I want to see this in the correct and honorable commission. I talk for the fishing history within my environment where I live here in Bori. I think there's only fish people in hundreds of about 200 naira. So I want to beg, deal with you, your own ministry, with the other ministry and the national agency to bring this into the radio stations. Because on radio, people are supposed to be aware
Okay.
that is not consumable at this point in time.
All right. Thank you so much, Akanto. You want more sensitization? Let's take another one. Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining us. Viewpoint. Hello. Yeah, good morning.
And it's Misha.
Misha, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Honorable Commissioner.
Good morning.
Yes. Segun, while humanity is facing the novel coronavirus, otherwise also known as COVID-19, I think that the croaker population is facing a similar outbreak. And I think in this situation, it could be a viral or a bacterial epidemic. Note that this is peculiar to the croaker population and is the white croaker majorly. So I think that if it is, this is me thinking, I'm also, though I'm not the tissue analysis is ongoing now in the lab, like USC, like you mentioned. But I think that because it's peculiar to the croaker population, it may not necessarily be maybe gas leak or chemical outbreak, chemical leak or so, because otherwise it would have affected other fish population as well. But because it's peculiar, most peculiar to the croaker, I think it's a pandemic, a bacterial or a viral epidemic that has just broken up. And I just plead the people not to eat it, and especially with the symptoms that is seen on the fishes itself. It really points to a disease pandemic.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Quite appreciate it. I'm just going to take one more, and we'll allow the Honorable Commissioner to answer all the questions. Sodina Keba, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning. Honorable Commissioner, I must thank you for the actions you've taken so far. I think that is the way to go. More than that, I'll always want to insist on desensitization to our rural areas, of course, using the leadership in the various communities and the town criers that will actually send the signal. Not everyone listens to radio. Now, having said that, Honorable Commissioner, my worry is when I see this number of fishes on our coastal lines, it runs into hundreds of thousands. And there is possibility that they've been there for days. Of course, they're going to decay and cause more harm to the environment. What plans actually have you put in place for timely evacuation and proper disposal, containment, so that they don't constitute more harm to the environment and marine life? Other bigger fishes, especially we want to swallow, and then the effect on marine life and the environment is our concern. So what plans have you put in place for timely evacuation and proper
Thank you so much.
disposal?
Quite appreciate that. Let's allow Honorable Commissioner to answer all the questions. Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you very much, viewers. Yeah, I'll take them one after the other. On the issue of sensitization, yeah, it's true, we are doing the much we have been able to do so far. There is room for more. I want to also add that we are also working with the Ministry of Agriculture, and I'm also aware that they are doing sensitization just as we are doing, and we are working at the level of government, at the higher levels. We are cooperating to ensure that the message we pass is the appropriate one. Now, so yes, there is room for more sensitization, and government is working at that. In fact, some of the groups that visited me yesterday, particularly from the Bonny communities, the issue of using town criers came up, and we encouraged them to please do that. Now, governance is not just for people that you see, that are visible. There's a level of governance even at the very community level, and we want to encourage the community leaders, CDC chairmen, local government chairmen to take responsibility. While at the state level we do what we are doing, we continue to push the message, but it will be helpful for those at the lower level to also ensure that this message is carried further than we have done so far. So I agree with you, there is room for more sensitization, and we are doing just that. Now, on the issue of viral, bacterial and all that, yeah, it is possible. They are still in the realm of possibility. It is possible that there is a viral epidemic cutting across all the states. It's also possible that there are chemical substances through gases, sludge and all that from this. Don't forget that we are in an oil belt, And so it's, I still say it's presumptuous.
Yeah.
We need to get to the root of the matter before we say what it is. But we know something is wrong, and we are addressing it the way we know best. Now, the other one, timely evacuation, that's also an issue which we had discussed with the communities and all that. At the level of the state government, yes, we are doing that. Today, this morning, I expect the directors that went to come in, and when they come in with the field reports, we'll now know what further cooperation or collaboration we'll need with the communities to do that. But so far, from the reports we get, the communities are doing their bit. Their leaders are ensuring that evacuation of the fishes are done at different levels, and want to encourage them to continue to do that. Government on its part will do everything we can to encourage them and ensure that a disease outbreak does not occur. Now, we also know that we've had meetings even by environmental lawyers, and we're also cooperating with them in case it gets to a point where litigations will come in, and we need to probably present a front to companies or institutions or people that may be found wanting in the course of our investigations. We are prepared to work with everybody interested because we know government is for everybody. We are in place for you. Thank you.
Fantastic. Christian Otiasa is an environmentalist, and Christian Otiasa is joining us. Hello, good morning, Christian Otiasa.
Good morning, Pastor Segun.
Thank you so much for joining us, Christian.
Good morning, Honorable Commissioner, and congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Honorable Commissioner, your presentation this morning so far is better and reassuring than your initial response. In fact, what I will call the initial response of government, where your ministry through you is saying one thing, the Minister of Agri is saying one thing, water resources is quiet, this other person is taking samples. I've asked people from the village to bring samples and all that. But now, my concern is this. I think that what is being done so far is narrow. And probably by the time the experts, the academicians you have assembled will be able to talk to you, you will appreciate what I am saying. The good thing is that you are also educated and more so in the pharmacologist. So it's easier for us to talk. Now, you know that the fishes came from the marine environment. And therefore, I think that it's insufficient for us to just test the fish alone. Even the testing of the fish, what protocols were observed if the villagers are claimed are the ones who brought the fish? What were the scientific protocols observed in bringing those samples? Here and you know that whatever the result will be is a function of the integrity of the samples that are being taken to the labs to test. If the protocols of picking samples are compromised, of course, the result we see will be compromised. That is one side. Now, the marine environment is a body of segments. We have the sediments, we have the river water, and we have the biota, the fish that you now see. Sometimes vegetation is involved. Now, the fish could not die ordinarily if the water from which they come out is good for fish survival. So I'm thinking that instead of narrowly testing the croaker fish alone, we should expand our test to all segments of the marine environment. What am I saying? We should test the sediment. We should test the water. And, you know, the croaker fish may, as a result of probably resilience level, come to die, and it's open for people to, because they are pelagic fishes. They swim in the water column and on top of it. But then there are benthic fishes who could be also affected, but will not float out for human eyes to see. So the investigation of the marine environment should be wide and broad. That is number one. Number two, what is the spatial extensivity of the investigation we are doing? For us to get a representative samples, we ought to do a polygon of the entire area affected. As at this morning, I'm reliably told that St. Bartholomew River, the Luapoko zones, up to in Angaladio zones of the Abete and Kola, are also affected. Fishes are dying, the same fishes are dying in the similar manner. So we need to do proper monitoring of the marine resources we have. If government has been monitoring these marine resources, we will probably not rely on villagers alone to come and pay down with their hard-earned money to come and tell us. Now, in your initial interface with the community, I don't know how a dedicated line, whether a dedicated line have been able to be stationed for them to call for any timely observation. So I am thinking that the fish is also smelling now, as you have gotten, which means air quality is also involved. Now, why we need to even investigate the sediment? Because we know that sources of pollutants, environmental marine stressors, do not only come from anthropogenic activities or terrestrial activities. There could be geochemical inputs. It could be from an underlying, like, you know, that something like heavy metals and some other chemicals are geochemically produced from the underlying rocks. It could be that maybe the faults have increased from micro to macro faults, fault lines of this, and these are oozing out. And Commissioner, let me make this point. The globally, environmental management is not a one-man affair. It is a concatenation of expertise, knowledge, best practices from within and across related fields. I do not know, even in your ministry, need to be fixed because their perception of what environmental management is a case. We still have discriminations of scientific officers and non-scientific officers. Okay. And these are not motivating your staff to work. So all these things, as a ministry, you don't have operational vehicle. So I do not know how you got to Andoni. I do not know how you got to Yorokoto. I do not know how you got to Agaja. I do not know how you will get to Kula. So these are some of the issues I want us to, because
thank you so much, Christian.
Honorable Commissioner,
I'm sorry, Christian Otesa.
Your ministry is known
Christian Otesa, I'm sorry. Christian Otesa, I'm very sorry, but we need to allow all the callers. But we allowed you this much because of your I'm very, very sorry. We allowed you this one because of the valid points you're making. But again, Honorable Commissioner, some very key thing to take note of. You want to respond to that?
Yes, please. Mr. Christian, thank you for your insights. But there are certain things that you're getting a little wrong. If you listened to my brief earlier, I had said we've sent experts to the field. A collaborative effort between the River State government, Nigeria Environmental Society, I mentioned that, and then some Bonny community leaders. In fact, I also said that some of the Bonny community leaders yesterday, they were led by a professor, and the professor in that area. You see, Bonny community, I said, is structured, and they have committees to deal with a couple of issues, including issues such as this, and they are weak. So what we are doing is collaborating with all of them. If you listened, I said that very clearly. We are aware, and I also said that we are not just taking the fishes to the laboratory. We are also taking water. We are taking, of course, the bentos. We know that we need to go. In fact, we are also going to take samples from periwinkle and other seafoods. So we know what to do. We have experts in the field. And that's why I also said we have a team of experts in the university collaborating with us. So we know what to do. And if you say ministry does not have enough vehicles and all that, of course, those are issues that are global. But as much as we do not have this and that, we know what to do. And within the limits of what we have, we are serving our people. So for academics or experts, we want your contributions, but I expect that you will also appreciate the much we are doing. Yes, we are aware air quality will be involved. We are aware, and I said here that we are working in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Agriculture, and all that. We are not working at cross purposes, and that's very clear.
Now, I actually want us to emphasize something which Christian Otesa talked about, and that is the monitoring of marine resources in Oyo State. He said to us that if we have an adequate structure in place, we wouldn't rely on the locals to give us this information. Is this to suggest that we don't have a mechanism for monitoring our marine resources?
We do have mechanism. If you also listen, I had said that our men on the ground also give us information. We do have people in the various local governments. But then, before we come out to react, we want to be very sure of what we are saying. So, yes, we have information maybe a day before, but we have to be sure before we came out. So we have mechanisms of monitoring things, but maybe not in the way you would expect, but as a government, we, as much as is possible, we know what to do to monitor. And in our ministry, we've got experts in the various areas of the environment. Air quality, sure, we've got experts, pollution control, flood erosion, and all that. So while talking about scientists, this and that, politics, those are not the issues at the moment. And if you want to talk to us about that, you can come to the ministry.
Fantastic. And I'm sitting in the studio with the Honorable Commissioner for Environment Dr Igbiks Tamuno. We're looking at the incident, the dead fishes on Bunny waterways, which has been reported. Now, quickly, we're just going to spend the next 10 minutes, interacting with those on the social media. We have quite a lot of numbers coming in, quite a lot of comments coming in from the social media. Eric Stoy Briston, please, this is effort by some patriotic Bunny young men. Finding of preliminary investigation into the incident of dead fishes on Bunny. Now, we need to expand that more so that, said, well, brief, well, okay. Well, he said the Bunny young men already have a report, and I believe such report now is submitted to the fantastic. Let me just go further. So you appreciate it for what you've done, Bunny. John Wadu, what are the efforts of government to ensure that the affected do not enter the market? Well, the Honorable Commissioner said a little bit about that, but again, maybe you might just want to repeat.
Yeah, you see, there's just so much we can do. We will continue to sensitize, continue to push the message that it is helpful for these fishes at this moment. And that's what we keep saying. When we need to do something beyond that, we sure will not shy away from it. But for now, please help us, social media giants, take this message around. Let our people, just the temptation is, let our people desist from eating these fishes as of now.
Okay. Now, Lake Kara, you're asking that samples should be taken, and of course, you've been listening to Honorable Commissioner. He has told us that yes, they have samples and they're investigating the samples. Mercy Amarachin Dukari, those fishes should not find themselves into the market. You heard what the Honorable Commissioner said. Tunde Babalola, it is not enough to tell people not to eat fishes. Engage Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service, Fishery Department. They were employed to carry out this job. The Commissioner did not mention them in the list of persons on agency. We need quick intervention, not bottleneck procedure and processes. Research, well conducted, must take time. Now, talking about the Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Services, were they involved in part of the exports?
Yes, we've involved the Federal Ministry of Environment, and we are sure they are aware. They're also doing their own thing. We have also sensitized Nostra. All the agencies that need to be involved, government is ensuring that they are collaborating. Well, all that we do is collaborating with people that should be involved. I cannot come here to say this is what this one is doing, but you can be rest assured that government is collaborating with all the relevant agencies, and the needful is being done.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, Ita Idawari is concerned about the length of time it is taking to unravel the cause of what is happening, and he said, I think the government is not doing enough. That's his own view of discouraging people from eating the fishes. May advising will not work. How do you enforce this directive?
Yeah, enforcement will probably mean physically restricting them. But like I've said now, this incident is not just restricted to one area. The shorelines, the Atlantic shorelines leading up to Lagos are involved. So the best is what we are doing. But yes, if we, our experts, consider it necessary to restrict people physically, we'll not shy away from doing that.
Cyril Eramane, so with difficult situation on ground due to lockdown, government must act fast to take over the situation so that the people, so that those fishes should not find their way into people's kitchen. Well, you've heard what the Honorable Commissioner said. And well, Anna Victor Graham, okay, Violence Spurgeon, please, urgent action is needed because some of these fishes are in the market. Unknowingly, people are consuming them. These days, we take task force, set up everything. Please, task force should also set up and go into it. Now, for the purpose of enlightenment, particularly those who are interested in eating croaker fishes, what do you think they can look out for that may suggest that, well, perhaps this one should not be consumed?
Well, it's the best thing to say is for them to avoid croaker fishes for now. Because if you want to look at the symptoms, yes, from what we now see, the rot starts from the tail instead of the head. You have some boil-like features on the surface and all that. So, but we don't want to advise anybody to look out for symptoms. Just avoid croaker for the moment, so as to give us the opportunity of doing what we are doing, and also to stay safe. All
right, let's just take more calls while we engage the Honorable Commissioner on what is going on. 0902-333-9379 and 0809-754-3294. Now, Honorable Commissioner, just by the way, you said the investigation is going. do we have a time that we can say, okay, now Rivers will give us 1 week, in 1 week we'll come out with a definitive
Yes.
report? For
Within
you?
1 week, we are very sure we'll come up with some definitive answers. Within 1 week, we are sure about that.
All right.
Yeah.
There you have it. Pastor Chimenen, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Segun. Yes, Honorable Commissioner, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, you Bola, I think my eagerness is the civil environmental lawyers you partner with because it's very essential. And I want to draw your attention on how we can, make use of the fishermen because from what we are getting so far, the failures is that these fishes have gone into the market and you know the dangers of it. I think I would have employed the effort of the state government in, the kind of power they use in fighting COVID-19 to, ensure that the borders are closed. Let them go to the market because as at yesterday, my one market, I saw some croakers and they are coming in their thousands. So please, it's a very reliable information. Please let us begin to look at because the danger of it is that when one person consumes it, it goes on and nobody knows if it is a contagious kind of chemical. So please let us equally look at the kind of laboratories we are taking this specimen to because it's very important. We have seen a lot of compromise. So let us equally look at the timeline. Let us equally look at how we can enforce it in our markets. As I speak to you, the fish are just people are picking it on daily basis, and I have friends that are over there who are lawyers calling me on daily basis that there is a negligence, the level of negligence in terms of ensuring that those that are picking these fishes are arrested. Nobody is doing it. So let us look at it one way. Not only Andoni, the thing is moving from one shore to another. This is a time to make use of our fishermen. So please let us look at my one another market. But right now in my one, the croaker fishes are coming in and they are selling it. It's a very big market now.
I appreciate
so
that.
Please,
now let me come to this one. Good morning and thank you for joining us. Viewpoints.
Yeah, Segun, good morning.
Okay, JJ, good morning.
Good morning to the Honorable Commissioner
Good morning.
for Environment. My name is JJ and I'm calling you from Port Harcourt.
Good, JJ.
I want to thank God that you said you have taken sample and you have sent it to the lab. The question is, how long will that sample and the lab result take before it comes out? And so that we'll know how it will manifest in the people. Let it not be that it will not be something that will manifest immediately, some chemicals, they start building from the inside, and before you know it, we already have another COVID-20, because we're already battling COVID-19. Before you know it, we now have, God forbid, we have COVID-20. So how soon will the result come out, and maybe the analysis to know its effect on the human that have consumed it already, because I know that you also know that people must have consumed it. And it's like this thing is not happening simultaneously, like it's moving from one place to another. The first one we had was in Finima. The next thing we had that is in Andoni. We now have that is manifesting in some other areas again. Like these guys are moving from one, the chemical is spreading as the river is flowing, is moving from one place to another, destroying our aquatic life.
Thank you so much.
So for me, let it be fast and see how we can resolve this thing before it turns to another epidemic. Thank you.
Fantastic. Now, of course, the Honorable Commissioner has told us how fast the government is acting on this and how serious the government is. But again, a question which showed up online is asking at what level of collaboration is being done with other states, since we mentioned that this is being witnessed in other states.
Yeah, I mentioned, yes. I personally spoke to the Commissioner for Environment in Akwa Ibom State, Commissioner for Environment in Delta State. And at that level, we are discussing what first we all agree that we have a problem on our hands. Independently, they are doing their own work just as we are doing ours. But the central message is enlightening our people. That is being done. Other levels of of activities at the level of government are being conceived, and we'll move into them as fast as we can. But be rest assured that we are aware that JJ is saying it's gone beyond Andoni and all that. We know that it has spread to, in fact, Ondo, even Lagos. It's just the whole coastal lines. But our investigations are also very widespread, and that's why collaboration is key, not just in Andoni or Boni. But for us, our primary preoccupation for now is our people in our states. And the message, the central message is please don't eat. If we, in the next in a couple of hours, if we get to enforcement at different levels, we'll get to do that. You'll see that the government is still looking at it. The governor is aware, and I'm sure we'll see
Okay,
government.
we'll take the last set of calls on this particular talk, and also we'll look at the last set of comments that are coming in on the social media. Let me just quickly take this. Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining us. This is Viewpoint.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, Pastor Chizzy.
Yes, my name is Barrister Chiz. Let me say good morning to the commissioner.
Yeah, good morning, Chizzy.
Yeah, Segun, the other time, Commissioner for Transport was on your program, and he talked about the COVID-19, wherein the government made a regulation that there should be social distancing in the car, and people should sit 2 and 1 in front. Then there was a question: was it implemented? He said he thought that people will willingly obey it because of the situation. Now, I wonder when executive arm of government has become a set of people or a set of persons or an arm that would now allow people to willingly obey. If law is to be willingly obeyed, then the executive arm of government will not even come into place, because the duty of the executive is to enforce the law. Now, the commissioner there is also telling us that they have advised the people. Now, which proactive measure it is, just like Dave and Chimney said, that people should not eat those fishes, that people should be arrested. You asked the time limit, and there was no positive response as to when this thing will be curtailed. Now, these people are, you know that this thing is also a means of money making, wherein the people will back those things and now come to sell to us who have not been conscientized on this issue. Apart from today, I have not even heard of much sensitization on this particular issue. Even your station have not even aired it as a Chengo, telling people not to do this.
It wasn't the
So
news.
then, we see that people appointed to work as commissioners are really not ready, or they are not serious about it.
Let us not be personal now. Let's not be personal.
No, I'm not being personal. I'm only talking. What has the commissioner told you that you are convinced about this happening now?
Well, I believe you have been listening to the program. I believe you have been listening.
I've been listening now. Are you convinced on all the commissioner said as measures to tackle this particular epidemic? You see that it does not affect the rich. Now that it's affecting the poor, look at how minimal is being handled. Or look at how coronavirus is being handled. Everywhere shut down. You can't shut down the waterways because of this thing that will kill all the poor.
Now, again, thank you so much, Pastor Chizzy, for your contribution. But again, we don't want to paint a very scary picture. It hasn't got into that. Honorable Commissioner has said to us that investigation is still ongoing. But thank you, Pastor Chizzy, for your observation. Now, let me come to the Honorable Commissioner. Well, maybe he has raised some issue. Of course, you said you are investigating, but this is an advice. Enforcement may come, but you're not too sure about that. Yes.
Yeah, enforcement may come. But you see, we are a government that listens not only to those that have one opinion, we listen to everybody. And we are also monitoring the situation on the ground. But the first course of action we've taken, and we continue to take now, from what the Chizzy has said, it appears he's not even listening to the news, because we've been on the news for, the last 3 days, social media everywhere. It's possible that some people may not have heard. So what we will want to do, which I have said before, is to intensify our sensitization efforts, which we will do. That's the first line of action. Now, I've also said here that if we now get to the point where we want to physically enforce restrictions in a couple of hours, we will do. Government has a capacity. And then if you want to do an enforcement, you don't want to do it haphazardly. You've got to plan. So government will just not do one thing because one person says this. We are taking everything in its totality, and we are multitasking. While we're doing investigation, we are sensitizing, we are calling on experts, and so I understand your concerns, but they will all be addressed.
Yeah, fantastic. Dr. Igbiks Tamuno, I want to thank you so much for coming to the studio to talk to us. We know this is a developing issue. In the coming days, we might be talking more to Rivers people to give them further details and let them know some of the decisions of government on this. I want to thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.